Okay, so let's move now to a different text. Okay, Arabic is a lexically rich language with around 12 million words, which is great for native writers and suicidal for translators into other languages. For instance, English has about 600,000 words. When translating them from Arabic to English, translators will certainly come across a variety of lexemes that are not met with target equivalents. Okay, we said that here lexically rich doesn't, like some of you translated it to معجمية, and I said that it doesn't make sense because here, although it's an adverb, the meaning that this adverb gives is related to the noun مفردة. It just wants to tell you that it has a rich lexicon. فاللغة العربية غنية بالمفردات. Now I'm going to ask a question. Do we have nominal sentences in Arabic? Do we have nominal sentences in Arabic?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
it awkward to have a nominal sentence in Arabic? Is it weird?
No.
No. So there's a myth that says in Arabic you should always begin with a verb. This limits the language. No, Arabic is open to nominal sentences and to verbal sentences and to sentences or to nominal sentences that include الجملة الفعلية. So it's fine to begin with a noun and then to add the verb. It's natural in Arabic, it's normal. So the myth that has been spreading among translators that you should always begin with a verb is not accurate. And again, I think it limits the variety of structures that you can produce in Arabic. So اللغة العربية غنية بالمفردات. This is lexically rich. ففيها نحو 12 مليون كلمة. وفي هذا مسر للمؤلفين العرب وبلاء للمترجمين إلى اللغات الأخرى. Let's look at great and suicidal. Why didn't we say عظيم for great? I mean, the dictionary meaning of great, عظيم. Some might say رائع, though رائع is super. So why did we did we change it? Did we give a different meaning? Iman.
Yes. I think that the word great and من نحكي عظيم, we use it for God generally, to talk about Allah, but not for other things. It's not common to use it for other things.
I might add that it doesn't mean عظيم in English. Like great here doesn't mean عظيم. It means delightful, right? It means it's a great opportunity for them. So it doesn't really mean عظيم. And you need to take this into consideration when you think about the limited number of words in English and the great number of words in Arabic. The first dictionary meaning of a certain word doesn't necessarily mean that it's the most appropriate one. Sometimes you need to look from a distance and look at the sentence, look at where the word is and what it actually means. Like, does it really connect to the meaning of greatness, عظمة? It doesn't. So what does it really mean here? Sometimes you get the answer to that question immediately, and sometimes you need to move a little bit forward, and suicidal for translators into other languages. Okay, so there's a connection between great and suicidal. They have to be antonyms, right? لازم يكونوا يعني كلمتين متضادتين great و suicidal، لأنه هي المعنى اللي مقصود هنا. يبقى أنا لما أترجم بدي أترجم في كلمتين برضو يكون في بينهم تناقض. فأنا لو استخدمت عظيم بمعناها المتعارف عليه في النص في الجزئية تبعت great for native speakers، حكيت عظيم وبعدين حكيت مثلا حاجة زي تؤدي إلى شنق النفس مثلا، doesn't make sense. right? So here the meaning of great is something that is pleasant, and the meaning of suicidal, it means something that tortures the person. It's entirely unpleasant. So you need to think of two words that fit the context and at the same time come together as opposites or antonyms. فعلى سبيل المثال, for example or for instance, تحتوي اللغة الإنجليزية على نحو 600,000 كلمة. Some of you translated has into تملك. Does a language own words or contain words?
Contain.
Good. So has means يملك, sometimes يأكل, بس هنا مستحيل يأكل. So even يملك, the general meaning we know of the word have, makes sense here. So it doesn't تملك, it doesn't own words. Instead, it contains like 600,000 words. تمام؟
تمام.
أوكي. عند الترجمة من العربية إلى الإنجليزية سيواجه المترجمون مفردات كثيرة متنوعة بدون مفردات مماثلة في اللغة المترجم لها. This isn't a problem. Okay. ويشكل على المترجم ويشكل للمترجم ويشكل للمترجم مشكلة جديدة إذا تعمد الكاتب استخدام التلاعب في الألفاظ، ومحور دراستنا هنا هو الجناس. Okay. Now, I think we discussed this. We did, right? We talked about how in the source text we have double and treble, and that we need to compensate for the loss in the translation. I'm interested here in this part. So al-Masri, as al-Masri said, observe, imitate, and create. This research attempts to observe and analyze how al-Jayusi so-and-so. Now, some of you translated observe as raqab. Raqab. أو راقب عفوا. So observe, imitate, and create in this sense means raqib. Yes, it's true. Raqib وقلد وتكر or whatever you want to use. تمام؟ لكن 2 words later, he says this research attempts to observe and analyze how SK and Jayusi and Legasic, I think, translated Piz Optimist. So here he chose, or the writer chose the same word, repeated the same word, observe, again. Okay, so I need to use a translation that fits both contexts. So if I used راقب in the quotation راقب وقلد ثم ابتكر, and then 2 seconds later say يسعى هذا البحث إلى مراقبة وتحليل أساليب الترجمة, does it make sense? No, it doesn't. So if you change observe in the second part وما تخليها راقب, تخليها يسعى أو يهدف هذا البحث إلى مثلا تتبع, الآن حيتساءل, يعني أفقد جزء من النص. مين تعمد يستخدمه؟ الكاتب. ليش هو تعمد يستخدمه؟ لأنه هو كل شغله بيحكي عن الأنتنا كلاسز، كل شغله بيحكي عن playing with words. فهو هنا مرة تانية تلعب بالألفاظ وكرر نفس الكلمة. عشان إيش؟ عشان أنت تتذكر الكلمة اللي حكاها في الأول وهي حكاها هنا تاني، وإنه يعني بده يعمل لنا فيها إنه أنا استخدمت نفس الكلمة في سياقين مختلفين. تمام؟ فبدنا كلمة محايدة بشكل عام تستخدم في معنى الobservation، سواء تتبع أثر، تتبع شخص، مراقبة. يعني أنا لو استخدمت راقب مش حتنفع في الناحية الثانية، لكن لو يعني استخدمت متابعة، تتبع بتنفع في تتبع الأثر. وفي تتبع الأحداث وفي تتبع الأساليب بتاعت الترجمة. So تتبع makes more sense. طيب ننظر لترجمة and هنا وترجمة الكوما هنا. إحنا بنترجم punctuation marks? Yes, we do. And you would notice this when we discuss literary texts. Sometimes the quotation mark is changed into a word because sometimes the quotation mark is intended to indicate a certain emotion. Okay? But we discuss this more inshallah, in literary translations. Now, here, observe, it should be observe and imitate and create. This is how it should be or how it's meant. But we don't repeat and, so we use comma. Now look here. تتبع وقلد وابتكر. In Arabic, wa differs from ثم, and both of them have different meanings in relation to time, in relation to the series of events. Anyone knows the difference between wa and ثم?
Yes.
مين قالك؟ مريم تفضلي.
Yes.
ثم إشي like تراخي أبطأ من وأسرع.
غيره؟
ولا الإضافة.
رانيا؟
ولا الإضافة. أما ثم العكس يمكن. لا following.
أيوة شذا.
أسمع.
Yes.
وبتيجي بعد الإشي على طول، الإشي السابق على طول، لكن ثم بتيجي بعد فترة.
ممتاز.
بسمة كناي.
Yes.
بسمة تفضلي.
وترتيب وتعقيب ثم ترتيب وتعقيب مع تراخي.
تمام. سيرين بدك تحكي إشي؟
Yes. الواو تفيد الجمع والمشاركة
مهم.
والتنوع، لكن ثم تفيد الترتيب مع التراخي.
ممتازين كلكم. So basically in Arabic it makes more sense. يعني تتبع وقلد وابتكر shows that you're gonna do the three things at the same time, right? But that's not what the source text means. The source text means you're going to observe, take your time observing, and then you're going to imitate, take your time imitating, and then once you're ready, it's time for you to create. So if we say تتبع وقلد وابتكر, it doesn't make sense. It makes sense, but it's like, am I just like if you go on YouTube and you look for how to stuff a chicken, okay? You're going to observe, you're going to watch the video once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and then you're going to go step by step, imitating the person in the video. And then after you make that chicken, after you stuff the chicken like 5 to 6 times, on your 7th attempt, you're going to think about adding new things to the chicken, right? So it makes sense that they don't happen at the same time. So and here doesn't necessarily mean what. And you would notice this, the translation of and in the Quran. In the Quran, and is repeated so many times. What is repeated so many times, but it's not always and. It's not always, it doesn't always mean and. Okay? Do we have any questions?
So far, so good.
Okay, so let's move to these 2 texts. The text that, like so many of you felt was somewhat difficult. أيها الناس. We said that in Arabic, in English, we don't usually hear people say, oh Muhammad, oh Mahmoud, right? It doesn't happen. Basically, in speeches or ceremonies, especially the Friday ceremony, you would hear the preacher say, my brothers, my sisters. This is usually how they begin a certain lecture or a certain ceremony. Okay, now what I want to say here is that a good translator would go and search YouTube for a Friday ceremony in English and listen to the kind of words that the person is using. Listen to how he's talking in English. And it would be better if you look for the same topic. If you look for the same topic, you would definitely find a lot of lectures or speeches on the hereafter, on not spending your time worrying about this time or this lifetime, and how you need to worry more about the other life, real life. And look at the type of words they use. Listen to the style. And why you need to do this, because if you remember on our second lecture, we mentioned how if you haven't come across this particular topic, look for it. Go see how it's said, how people who are specialized in this particular topic speak about it, okay? Let's read the translation. My brothers, a witty believer is he who gives earthly life its true value. So why did we translate ad-dunya to earthly life? Why didn't I just say life? And I'll explain now. Life is al-haya. And ad-dunya has two meanings. Al-haya and the fact that it is low. يعني احنا بنستخدم كلمة دنيا كثيرا، تمام؟ لدرجة انه في اللغة العربية صارت عندنا الدنيا والحياة نفس المعنى. يعني كلمة دنيا، كلمة حياة بالنسبة لي كمتحدث عربي they have the same meaning. الحياة صعبة، الدنيا صعبة. It has the same meaning. But religiously, الدنيا and الحياة are not the same. الدنيا is الحياة الدنيا. Like it's one level of life. It's the lower level of life. It's the earthly life. Okay? But الحياة is الدار الآخرة. Does anyone know where in the Quran it says that الحياة هي الدار الآخرة?
والآخرة خير وأبقى.
لا, I want the word حياة. اللي بتعرف إلها 2 شيكل في أول لقاء وجعي. ومعاهم علامة بونص. إيش الآية؟
إيش السؤال؟
السؤال إنه إيش في آية بتدل على إنه في اختلاف بين الدنيا والحياة، وإنه الحياة فعليا هي في الجنة مش هنا.
بس قول الله تعالى
أيوة.
إنه والحياة هي الآخرة الحيوان، هي كلمة الحيوان ذكرت في
جيب لنا
القرآن.
الآية. مين جيب لنا الآية؟
بس هي صح يعني؟
هي في واحدة
إن الدار الآخرة لا هي الحيوان.
هي أريج. مين بعد؟ أريج ولا مين حكى أول؟ أريج ولا اللي ردت؟
لا، نداء معك.
تمام. وأريج بعتت وما هذه الحياة الدنيا إلا لهو ولعب وإن الدار الآخرة لهي الحيوان.
لا هي الحيوان.
So the distinction between الحياة and الدنيا is clear. In my translation, if I say life, I take part of the meaning and I take part of the connotation. Okay? So, a witty believer is he who gives earthly life its true value. من وزن الدنيا بميزانها وأعطاها مستحقها. ليش كانت مضغوطة لا its true value؟ في اللغة العربية سمة. إيش هاي السمة؟ الإطناب. تمام؟ وزن الدنيا بميزانها وأعطاها مستحقها means to give it its true value. بمعنى وزن الدنيا بميزانها وأعطاها مستحقها. So sometimes repetition in Arabic can be reduced in English. and vice versa. And sometimes if like you don't have like in Arabic it's shortened, and in English you need to lengthen it, you need to add more, again, explanatory words or else or other things. So he neither makes it his ultimate goal nor his true hope. غاية ونهايته أو غايته ونهايته نفس الفكرة. الغاية والنهاية هي الأيم، الجول. تمام؟ Okay. I wanted to say something. Yes. In punctuation, there is a difference between using a comma, a semicolon, and a full stop regarding the written, and reading the comma, the semicolon, and the full stop differs. When we add a comma or a semicolon, it's a very short pause, a shorter pause than the full stop. The full stop means full stop, stop fully. But if you add a comma or a semicolon, it means that there is connection between the two sentences or the two parts, the two ideas, and you need to take a short, very short, to make a short stop and then move forward. So here, a witty believer is he who gives earthly life its true value. He neither makes it his ultimate goal nor his true hope. Temporal life is only a stage in man's life. So here, the full stop took longer time than the semicolon. And this is important because in Arabic, there's a connection between like وأعطاها مستحقها ولم يجعلها أمله وغايته ونهايته. If I add a full stop in English, because it's going to become a very long sentence, then, or if I can't use a comma because of the structure or because of the meaning, and I can't use a full stop because of the voicing, because of how I'm going to say it, if I'm going to read it out loud, or if I'm giving it to someone to read it out loud. فإن الدنيا مرحلة عمل وسعي. طيب, I want you to look at this. فإن الدنيا مرحلة عمل وسعي يعقبها موت وحياة برزخية موت وحياة برزخية في القبر. Why did I translate life here as temporal and not earthly? مع إنها هنا الدنيا وهنا الدنيا، تمام؟ بس هنا ترجمناها earthly وهنا ترجمناها temporal.
لأنه المعنى ممكن أحكي إيمان.
في واحدة آيفون كاتبة اسمها ورفع إيدها. مين رفع إيده؟ ولا بالغلط؟ تفضلي يا إيمان.
To say that the second one الدنيا فيها معنى temporary أكثر من الأولى. لأنها مرحلة وتنتهي.
ممتاز. لأني أنا رجعت لورا، تمام؟ I zoomed out and I looked at the sentence and I saw what was going to happen next. He's talking about the stages, the time. He's talking about how this short life, الدنيا, short life, is followed by a short visit to the grave, and then short or long, you don't know, and then you're going to have your real life, الحياة الكاملة. تمام؟ هتلاحظوا هنا شايفين كلمة حياة هاي اللي في الآخر. لو أنا من الأول استخدمت life كان ما صارش فيه أي اختلاف في الجملة، صح؟ يعني لو أنا استخدمت من البداية كلمة الدنيا life لحالها وجيت بالآخر للايف، بالنص المترجم مش هيحس إنه كان في اختلاف في اختيار الألفاظ. لكن في النص الأصلي القارئ العربي استوعب إنه الدنيا إشي والحياة إشي تاني. تمام؟ Okay. Where were we? Yes. So we say here temporal life لأنه في علاقة ما بين الدنيا والحياة البرزخية اللي بيحكي عنها بعد بشوية. متذكرين لما فوق عظيم اللي هي suicidal و great كان في بينهم connection فأنا لازم أحافظ على هاي الكونكشن لما أترجم. هنا نفس الفكرة، دنيا وحياة برزخية there's a connection between them. So when I translate, I need to maintain that connection. Okay? And the connection here is that they're opposites. They're not like somewhat opposite. They're not opposite. They're actually like similar in a way or another. So فإن الدنيا مرحلة عمل وسعي. Temporal life is only a stage in man's life, a stage of hard work and labor. So here we changed the structure because in English, when you you conceal information and then you give the information, it's like you create a sense of suspense. فإن الدنيا مرحلة عمل وسعي. So it's a stage. We say that it's a stage, and then I explain a stage of hard work and labor. Okay. لا يدري العبد يعقبها موت وحياة برزخية في القبر. It is followed by death and a short stay in the grave. The worshipper knows not how long that stay will be. It could be 1,000 years or 2 or more or less. Then there's a full eternal life in the hereafter. Okay, anyone has any questions before we move to
Yes.
the yeah, Iman.
Translate the word حياة برزخية إلى a
Limbo.
short stay, not life.
Okay.
Stay is another equivalence to the word حياة.
Yes.
Why? You mean why did we use stay here?
Yes, or we can use it, but I think that you mean that it is another equivalence to the word حياة.
حياة برزخية. تمام. حياة here. It's not the actual meaning of life in English. It makes sense in Arabic if I say حياة برزخية, but it doesn't make sense to say in English that there's a life in the grave. There is no life in the grave. There's either torture, في العذاب, or a pleasant. So it's a stay. You stay for a while there. You don't know how long, but you stay for a while there. There are other words like limbo. Limbo is actually known for the barzakh in the Bible. There is the limbo. But using it gives biblical indications. That's why I don't like using biblical words. Biblical words have Christian connotation, and that changes the sense or the Islamic sense of the text. Someone was raising her hand. I didn't catch that one. Was someone raising her hand? Why did you use knows not and not doesn't know? Okay, thank you for that question. Now, when we translate something that is eloquent, something that is not said using everyday Arabic, something that is or everyday English, then you need to give that sense in the target language. You need to choose like the words you use, the structure you use, so should level up to the same level of eloquence of the source text. Sometimes you need to use unfamiliar structures in the target language. Sometimes you need to use, let's say, not like you need to be more formal. You need to give the sense of the supremacy of your text. You need to give more, I don't know, I'm trying to find a suitable word here, but basically